the last minute. Please help me welcome with Lessons from the Wild. Ben Hollis, everyone.
Thank you, Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guest. This just in. The new title is Can We Change? That a week ago, I finally made time to watch this movie on Hulu.com. A friend of mine highly recommended it. It's called Transformation: The Life and Legacy of Werner Erhard. Werner Erhard was the founder of something called EST, which later became Landmark Education, and is the granddaddy or the beginnings of the self-help, self-actualization, growth guru industry. Werner Erhard conducted these seminars back in the 70s and continued on in a way that was quite controversial, a lot of bad press, very interesting. What I remember is that when I first heard about this guy, I immediately had contempt for him. I was in my 20s. I didn't like his name, Werner Erhard. And when I found out his name was originally Rosenberg, I thought even worse. Now, this was my undeveloped brain at that time, or wherever my brain was at 20. The movie knocked me out. At the same time, in fact, in my 20s, that I was contemptuous, I was also fascinated with what he was about. And I read all about the seminar where they kept you apparently locked in a big room for an entire weekend and wouldn't let you go to the bathroom. These were things that they said they did. They said it was very controversial or confrontational. So it interested me because I was always interested in personal growth and change. And at the same time, I thought, it's a fraud. So I see this movie a week ago, and I am utterly inspired by Werner Erhard. I've never seen him before. I've never heard him speak. I didn't know there was film available. One thing he said that really blew me away, he said, "Your life is about what you're hiding. Let go!" Now that's something that may be hard to take in right in this moment, but your life is about what you're hiding. Let go. In other words, a call to live more authentically. Well, lines like that were all through this movie. I was very moved. I was moved to tears a couple of times. I was just blown away. And so what I couldn't help but notice is what a change from when I was 22, 23, and thought, this guy's a fraud, what a jerk, rah, rah, rah. And I'd never even heard him speak, to more than 30 years later, you got to hear this guy, he's incredible. So I put that up on Facebook, and I kind of played it cool. And the comments, 6 out of 7 of them were venomously contemptuous, just like how I was when I was in my 20s. And I really thought, this is so interesting. And one person who was actually in the business of doing seminars left a comment saying, "Wow, Ben, did you notice how angry and upset people are with these comments?" But there's no denying that he had a huge impact on our very language today when we talk about growth, transformation. He kind of coined these terms. Anyway, the big question is, can people change? Well, my story illustrates that yes, we can change. And the other big story I thought of in my life that I can use as an example, besides the fact that I love eggs now, I used to hate eggs when I was a kid, couldn't stand it. Hated fish, but now can eat fish and enjoy it. I even like Garrison Keillor now.
Whoa.
Prairie Home Companion. See, here's a hater. But I was once in that camp. The biggest change I see is in the arena of personal relationships. So I'll back it up to around this Werner Erhard time when I was, young, 28. I met my first wife in a bar. I was a bartender. She was a gorgeous customer. When I looked at her, my brain practically exploded. I was so nervous. It was like love at first sight for me. It was very dramatic. It was supercharged, blah, blah, blah. And it ultimately led to a 4-year marriage, 2 of which were good years, but filled with tumult, drama, craziness, me not really being myself in many ways, and kind of a sad story, really, in the end. And I guess there's no real, I'm not really going to take the time to go into big detail now. But we parted ways amicably. I have no ill feelings towards my first wife. And it's certainly apparent that that was one way of meeting somebody that actually was a pattern of mine. Meet somebody, go crazy, fall in love, throw my whole life out the window just so I can be with the person, drive halfway across the country to be with this person, just madness. Lost a job or 2 in this kind of fury. Now, we fast forward to 1996. I met my second wife in a church. And I was very different at this time. I'd actually ceased taking drugs and alcohol. I lived a more sane life. And I did not fall in love with my second wife, my current wife, like that. When I first laid eyes on her, this has become a joke among us because she also had her ideas about me. I thought she was poor white trash from Tennessee. I even had a state picked out. I thought her haircut looked weird. I thought she must cut her own hair, poor thing. Turns out she got a fancy, expensive haircut on Oak Street, an asymmetrical haircut, which I wasn't picking up on. And so I had this crazy idea about her, but she was so friendly and so nice, and it seemed like I had a lot in common with her, and we enjoyed talking. And we both shared that our ex-spouses, first spouses, kissed funny. We can relate. Anyway, I got to know her over the course of going out to lunch, going out in groups, and slowly, 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 I started to feel an affection, which wound up becoming strong enough to actually marry. And the other big thing was she had 2 little girls. Believe me, folks, when I was in my 20s, and I heard about somebody, I don't care how beautiful they were, if they had kids, I'd go, no, stay away from me. So where was this coming from? It's a spiritual question. But a completely different story years later. So can we change? Think about it. Think about a change you made. Think about a change you might want to make. Feel encouraged that it's possible. Because I know in my heart it is. It's true for me. I know it's got to be true for you guys too. Thank you so much.
Great story. Great property speech. Thank you. So that's all for tonight as far as the speeches. We're now going to bring the evaluators. Before we go with the evaluators, I really want to deliver a public apology to you, Pat. For some reason,